Ready, steady. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Runs podcast. We're getting close to the end of season 1 now, Nick. It's this. One more episode after this, and probably some kind of Christmas special. But we're getting close to the end of the first season. How mad is that?
Yeah, it's been a busy year and a fucking unreal year, as we always say now. We're so grateful for everyone that comes on, everyone that listens, everyone that downloads. Yeah, it's mad. What a year.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, well, say year, season, whatever it is. It's over a year now, but yeah, what a year.
It won't be much over a year, though. I don't think it'll be quite 13 months. So, thank everyone. Thank you very much for coming on, for listening to us, for downloading, for watching on YouTube. Scott Gray, I know you like to watch it in bed with your wife, fiance. But on the subject of downloads, yeah, last week was mad. We done a bumper week last week. We done James Thee and we done Lily Partridge, both because they tied in together because they both done New York Marathon. Mad feedback on both those episodes. Again, Lily, friend of the pod now, official friend of the pod, getting on twice. And James Thee, another one that I could listen to for days on end, have a conversation with.
Yeah, two really good episodes. Really enjoyed the chat with both, getting different insights. Both obviously James ex-pro, but now just a coach, broadcaster, but still a class runner to see his side of New York. And obviously we talk more with James about his life in running and everything, because obviously we had an episode with him. But then, yeah, just to like touch on with Lily how her day went to New York, and that was really good. I really enjoyed that, getting like a different side of it that we'll obviously never see. But yeah, they were good, and obviously, like you say, we've had really good feedback and good downloads on them.
Yeah. We said after Lily's episode as well, it was nice to get them back on because it's a bit like looser and a bit friendlier in it. Like the episodes are normally the first time we've had proper chats with or met some of these people.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can continue now into next year on some Friday nights, get some old guests back on and have a bit of a, not friendlier chat because I think we're quite friendly anyway, but it's a bit more familiar in it and you know what to expect. Like.
Yeah, definitely. You know a bit more about don't say no, but more about them, because obviously we still don't. We're still strangers to most people. But yeah, I felt more relaxed. I knew more, I suppose with Lily, I knew more about what we was talking about as well, having done it. And obviously we talked to her before. So yeah, there was a little bit more familiarity. And yeah, I sort of, I'm going to say it went well because it's our pod.
But those two, in the last 7 days, just on audio, we've had 524 downloads in 7 days, and that's taken us sharply up to 10 downloads short of the 11,000, and we were only bragging about 10,000 the other day, so
yeah.
Fucking madness. Happy days.
Flying out.
So, you're up in Glasgow again, a different part of Glasgow now, are you?
Yeah, I'm in Renfrew, Paisley this time because we got a couple of jobs. One's in Troon, one's up in Port Glasgow again. So I'm sort of, so we can get back and forth both jobs a bit easier. So better hotel this time.
Yeah, nice hotel.
But there's not this. But I was saying to Leanne last night, better hotel, but I'm sort of just out by the airport. So there's not much around me. So 6.5 days there. Where I was up in a town last time in Port Glasgow or Greenock, there's things around here. I'm sort of in the middle of nowhere, so I got to drive if I want to go to the shop. Or I haven't worked out running routes yet either. I'm familiar with that better because I've stayed there over the years, but not here.
You sneak onto the runway.
It is like I was looking at Strava routes last night and segments, and literally across the road and down a big. It looks like not a lane, but like a road with a couple of houses. You can literally get to the back of the runway, so it must be like a road along that, but I don't know, see if that's going to be in the dark, I don't know if it's lit, so I don't know if I'll risk our one this week. Or whatever to go to the race.
No, exactly. Speaking of Strava, premium is sucking me in.
Is it?
It's like, it's gone better, isn't it? Like,
I'm not on premium. So
no, I haven't got premium either, but I just get the emails and see like, they tried sucking me in the other day and they sent me like, look at these runs you could do around Birch Grove. I thought, that's interesting. Clicked on it. It was like, you need premium to have a look at that. Sorry. But
look at it, yeah. Same with routes when I look, because whenever I go anywhere, if I'm new to the thing, I just look at segments and things and then try and work out routes.
Yeah.
It shows you 1 or 2 routes, and then when you click it, it's like, no. Yeah. You've got to have premium to look at the routes. So yeah, it does try and suck you in.
Yeah, so a week away from Valencia. That's come round real fast, isn't it?
Yeah, 11 days, but yeah, basically a week to go until, a week Friday, and we're flying out, the gang. So yeah, it has come around quick, and obviously, yeah, like the news came out Friday after a long wait of was it on or off. We had the email midday last Friday, much to everyone's relief. So full steam ahead, yeah.
Are you tapering now?
Yeah, tapering now, yeah. I've done a last long run Sunday. He was down there with the E3 boys. Sort of mixed my session into theirs a bit, so I ended up doing 18 miles with a good chunk of it at marathon pace. Went well, felt really good.
Yeah, you look strong, you look good.
I felt really good. The last mile, obviously, I felt a little bit fatigued, but didn't, I still hit pace, so there was no issue with the pace. I felt good, obviously. I should at this time, 2 weeks out, I should be feeling sort of comfortable. Trying the new daps out as well.
But you look like a throwback from the 80s with your tash and your Diodoras.
I know you did say. So yeah,
this guy. I got some photos. I'll post them up
probably next week. We'll try them once more next week on a shorter sort of 3 by 10 minutes. And they will be my race day dap.
Yeah,
I think so. I did like them. They were really nice, snappy, good cushioning. Yeah, they look good as well. So Scott, give me a bit. You haven't even seen them.
Yeah, I'll post. Yeah, we'll have a look. I'll post a photo of Nikki's race. I got a lovely little shot of just the shoes actually, so I'll post that up and we can rate Nikki's race shoes. On the subject of Valencia, you've had your pens, and obviously we're in our little WhatsApp group with a couple of the boys, and Scott Gray's in there, and he's in the brown pen because he's shit, is it?
I think that's what it coincides with. Yeah, Scott Brown, melon. What's the Welsh word for it? Yeah, the brown.
Brown.
Is it brown? Fucking hell, that's typical Welsh word, isn't it, for it? Yeah, so he's in the brown pen. I don't know. Yeah, he's going for sub 3, but I think they've put him where they really feel he should be. So he should.
Only joking, Scott. He's in the orange pen, but the fucking photo was really bad and it looked brown.
Yeah, I think they've resent it to him now as proper, haven't they? Orange, but so I'm in blue just behind the elites, going for obviously 2:45. We see Mick. What Mick is in the elites, isn't he?
Mick's in the elites. Jake is pacing. Jake's pacing 2:10. I think he posted
2:10. Yeah, so he'll be a bit ahead of Mick, won't he? But he's obviously. Oh no, he's pacing in at 2:10. It must be a group of. Yeah, it's got to be the men. He wouldn't have the women because that's world record for women, and it must be a group of men that want 2:10 that he's been probably paid a nice bunch to go and run a half or 20 miles into Valencia.
Yeah, all he's got to do is fucking actually pace it, Jake, and not get carried away and go PB in, I know.
Yeah, well, you don't know. He might fancy it if he gets to 20 miles and then he'll probably go for it.
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to that. I feel like I got 4 more now. I haven't cared at all now. When I was on and you're going out there, and you might bump into Mick and have a chat, I'm like, but
there's loads of people we know going in there. There's loads of other people. All the Ponty boys I know go in, like I said.
Yeah.
There's other clubs I know that go in. There's a lot of people we've chatted to on here and follow on Insta.
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it?
It's a big one, yeah. It's like I've said before, it's getting bigger and bigger. Like, so end of year, it's a good one. Hopefully everything goes right on a day and can run fast.
How's our moustache going?
All right, got a bit of a boost off Jordan Harris Sunday, saying it's not very good for 17 days. What does he know?
And the grand total at the moment fundraising, you're up over 1,500 quid now as well.
Yes, we did our park run, November pajama park run up was called Saturday. All of us were there. Run that. That was a good bit of fun. I don't wear pajamas, so I'd wear my big pink purple dressing gown with just a pair of shorts. So that was fun in the wind. But yeah, I think we had a good few donations off the back of that, and we're over the 1,500 mark now, so we're going really well.
Excellent. Yeah, I don't know, you look like Willy Wonka, and then in one of the photos you look like Boise as well. So it's been a week of
off the photos,
alter egos this week. You've been a lot of people this week. Excellent. You're not happy my Christmas tree is up?
No, that's just ridiculous. Because you put in a group a couple of weeks ago at the start of November, right, who's going to be the first of the trimmings up or tree up? And I don't think anyone picked you. And then when did you put it up? The weekend? Like fucking 6 weeks
we went to Tesco food shop then. Ours comes down on Boxing Day. So, like Amy has...
6 weeks early.
Yeah, but she's got her work to do this weekend, so she'll be in no state to put a tree up. And then the weekend after, it's like it's pointless putting it up for fucking 3 weeks then, isn't it? So, took a plunge.
You do realise you're only supposed to have it up for like 12 days or something.
That's old-fashioned. You probably think women still deserve to be in the kitchen and not allowed to have jobs and shouldn't vote. Times are changing. Moving forward, right?
You
but you can move to 2024.
You do you. I won't be putting a fucking tree up until a week before, probably.
No, it wasn't me. Amy put it up.
And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go and actually. Well, should I probably say this? Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna go and get mine from a top clan this year.
Steal it?
It's not stealing. It's in a public open forest, isn't it?
Yeah.
My husband's gonna come across an axe and it comes down. I can't help that.
Are you going in the dark?
Yes. A couple of the boys done it last year, so I was like, I'm going to do that this year.
Oh, but it's like I'm looking forward to watching National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, brilliant that one.
And that's you.
It won't be that big.
Trees up. While we're on the subject of Slate and Amy, she also came home the other day with a dry robe as well. I was like, you can't have that because it goes against everything I've said for the last 12 months on the podcast.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones we done with slag him off, wasn't it?
I know. But she's like, I've got to walk the dogs at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I said, all right, as long as I don't have to walk the dogs, do we want to?
It's keeping me warm.
Yeah. But that's today, my gripe today is with you and all the other good fridge wankers.
Go on, let's go into it. You did message me back after I said that I got my good fridge, but you didn't say what you was going to gripe about.
It's just not fair, I don't think.
Continue.
No, all I've seen today is good for age posts. Oh, look at me, I'm fast as fuck. I'm never going to London Marathon without the ballot. Blah, blah, blah. But it has come down, hasn't it? So you have got to be pretty fast to do it. But loads of people seem to... How many get in today now on good for age?
I'm sure it's 3,000 men and 3,000 women. That's all he set aside now.
So, how many people run it?
London, they upped it last year to 52 or 54,000. I said tonight you could feel it last year. Like I've done it 4 times now, and you could feel how much busier it was. Because I'm sure it used to be like mid-40s.
Yeah.
But obviously running's getting more popular. I think there's more charity places. They obviously they've upped the actual general ballot places because they haven't upped good for age or championship, I don't think, for a few years.
What's championship?
Championship is like for anyone that runs it's now again they've adjusted that to sub 238. Last year it was sub 240. A couple of years before it was 245 because for a while I thought I may have a chance one day of getting a championship spot. So again, if you're a club runner registered with the club and you run under that time, you've got a better chance again of getting a spot. And again,
but then obviously, let's say there's 1,000 championship spots, just for easy math. And then 2,000 people have run that time. They go into the good front of the good for age queue, do they? Or
I don't know. No, they are told same as we are. You've still got a ballot. Then your position. Then you can enter your championship or good for age. So some people might have both.
They went to both. Yeah.
Say, for instance, Alid Jenks ran 230 last year. I know he was on about doing it again, putting a championship spot in. So he could have technically gone into good for age. But no, you'd want it. I was thinking about it. You'd want a championship start because you were literally with the elites and you got a different bib and you looked after them better at the start. No, you don't have a name on your bib. No, you have a lower number, but you have the stripes through it. And you were literally stood with the elites and you get to warm up sort of in their area. So you would want it but just in us. I don't think you would do the good for age. You would just do ballot and then that. Good. So say there's 1,000 men, 1,000 women. You'll go on who's the fastest under that time. You're not guaranteed. Again, used to be guaranteed. So they are sort of, you were slagging us off being quick. They're giving more places to general ballot, not good for age and championship as it goes.
Yeah. I think they should adopt a crap for age as well, and 6,000 of the slowest motherfuckers pinned onto the back.
Yeah, be a bit more like New York, where they celebrate those at the end of the big party.
Yeah, that sounded class.
It looks really good. Obviously, when I was there, I didn't stay around for it, because it's obviously probably 4 or 5 hours after I finished, and I was blocked over then, enjoying myself. So I wasn't going back to Central Park.
That's the only reason you run the marathons, isn't it? Fucking go and get smashed after.
Enjoy the after, yeah.
Right, happy days. But yeah, I don't really think you wankers, guys. Don't stop listening, because we're on a bit of a roll at the moment.
Don't unfollow and subscribe.
We have got Liverpool cross country is coming up, isn't it? But
yeah, Saturday.
Guest is going to be in now. But should we just touch on that briefly, and then we don't have to take up too much of his time talking about that? So Liverpool this weekend is what? Well, I send the link.
It's the British, I think it's the British champs, and so it's in Liverpool. It's held there most years, I think all years. I don't know what Parliamentale's a different one, I think. That might be the English championships. So yeah, it's a huge race in the cross country, and it qualifies you for the European Championships. So top 3 men, top 3 women, I think, and then you got the age groups of the under 23s as well qualify, because there's an under 23. It was under 20s and then seniors. Now there's an under 20s, 23s, and seniors. Obviously, there's lower categories as well. So yeah, they get the race there this weekend. I think Lily mentioned last week that Ben's racing, didn't she? Ben Connor's racing it as well. Yeah. So going for the senior place. Yeah. So they can qualify for the Europeans, which is on December the 7th in Turkey. European Championships.
That's what I like about running, is fast turnarounds, isn't it? We spoke about that with the Olympics as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to be
in form,
top of your game. Like, the football or whatever, you get picked for the squad, and then the tournament's in a month, and it could fall off a cliff, like, innit?
Yeah.
But you've got to be. So it's good about managing your time, managing your training, and they're always in these mad blocks as well, aren't they? Especially for the closed.
It'd be all planned, wouldn't it? They'll have planned for this sort of season now with a couple of cross countries. Obviously, we had Cardiff the other day, so there was some big runners at that. Obviously, they were using that as a practice for Liverpool or for Europeans. Yeah, and obviously there'll be some. Well, there was news today when he posted on his Instagram who's going to be there. He's back. The big dog is back doing the cross country. No, he don't do cross. He sticks to a few track races. The man that races everything there.
You're the man.
He is. He is good.
He is. Right. This week we have got another young gun. That's been first time I seen him. He pushed Jake Smith all around Tornapandy Track Classic, and we had a quick chat with him. Excellent runner, lovely boy, Daf Jones. Shall we get him in?
Yes, let's see what Dav's got to talk about. And obviously Liverpool weekend is a big thing, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Let's get him on. All right, boys and girls, this episode is supported by Racked. Are you looking to gear up your club with some custom high-quality kit? Whether it's socks, t-shirts, vests, tri-suits or bike apparel, Racked has got you covered. With Racked, you can create fully custom kit for your club, designed just the way you want them. The bespoke in-house design service allows you to bring your ideas to life. Whether you're a running club, a cycling club or a triathlon club. And it's not just about style either. Rack delivers high performance gear, perfect for all your training and racing needs. Ready to get started? Drop them an email on info@racked.online and kick off your custom design today. Welcome back. We are 3 now. We've been joined by Daf Jones, finally. We're having IT issues getting guests in at the moment. It's been a bit of a palaver, but you broke through the barrier, and here you are. How's it going, Dav? You okay?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. After a little bit of technical issues, we're on the call. So, I'm looking forward to having a chat with you boys and, digging into things.
Yeah, definitely. I said to Nicky before you come on, the first time I ever seen you was Tornapandy Track Classic. Just hunting Jake Smith around the entire track, and I was like, who's doing that? How can somebody do that? But then turns out you're a pretty decent runner anyway, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best race I've run in the last, basically since I've started running. I feel like that was a race that I went into with a lot of confidence. And, you know, even though Jake beat me on the night, it was one of them races that you walk away from and think, do you know what, that was pretty perfect tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, I've been running for a while. I wouldn't say I was amazing when I started, but it's one of those ones where I think you just gotta keep chipping away at it, and every year you sort of add a little layer, or, you know, increase your training a bit and get a little bit better. And I think that's sometimes what you've got to enjoy about the sport, is you've just got to keep wanting it, keep enjoying the training and enjoying the racing, and then sort of doing well in races then sort of looks after itself if you're enjoying it and training properly.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, we normally like go all the way back to school, but I mean, going back to school for you is not going back that far at all, is it?
No.
Was you running in school then, or was it different sports in school, or no sports at all in school?
I mean, in primary school, I was, you know, like anyone else, you know, doing all the regular sports, you know, cricket, some rugby and football in the winter. Yeah, I think, you know, I did a bit of swimming and stuff like that, but it was nothing major. It was just like, you know, dipping my feet in a bit of everything, and just enjoying it, really. I mean, I did quite enjoy, you know, like sport day or something like that, and, you know, like 100 meters and, you know, sprinting. But that was just, you know, that was just something you did in school. I just thought that was normal. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I didn't actually start running properly until I think it was like sort of year 7. I think that's when I first started doing a little bit of running.
Yeah, you probably get a little bit more familiar with it in school then, because it is part of the curriculum, and you've got your rugby, you've got your badminton, I think we used to play as well, but then you have got athletics is a big part of the curriculum, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, in secondary school, you're obviously, well, my primary school anyway was really, really small. So I think in my primary school, there was 8 boys, me included, and 2 girls in my year. And I was,
Where are you from?
I'm from Kidwelly, so it's quite a small town.
Yeah.
And I think there was only about 150 kids in the whole school, like literally from like year 1 upwards.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think then when you go to secondary school, you're sort of exposed to loads more people, and it's quite overwhelming in a way. But yeah, obviously, as you're exposed to more people, you know, like I obviously made mates with people that were doing a lot of cross country, a lot of track, some, and it was just mainly, you know, one of the boys said, "Oh, there's like schools cross country next week. Do you fancy doing it?" And that's all I was thinking to myself. Oh, great! I missed an afternoon of school. You know, don't have to go to lessons. let's see what this cross country running's all about. So yeah, so that's when I started properly, you know, having a go with the running and seeing what it was all about. And yeah, sort of that year 7 was where I went from literally doing no running at all to then join the club and sort of taking it seriously, not very serious, but just like, you know, going to training a couple of times a week and just, you know, enjoying it, really, not really chasing times or anything like that at all.
Yeah. So what's the running scene like down Kidwell? Because we're obviously, you're a Harrier now, and we know we've got Ponty, the 2 big clubs down here. We're going to have other clubs after me now for not saying they were a big club. But what's it like in Kidwell? Is like the running scene and people for you to like lean on and develop with down there then?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I started running, I gotta give like all credit to Carmarthen Harriers, because that's where my laptop nearly went then. That's when that's where it all started for me, really. So I give all credit to them, and my first coach was Daf Jones, and she literally guided me from the minute I got there when I was, you know, 13 years old, all the way until I was 18. So it's one of those ones where that's where it started. And there's obviously some key players in between. Like I did a little bit of running with a little group in Kidwell when I first started. So obviously I was going to the Harriers training, normally like Tuesday, Thursday, and then occasionally on a Saturday. And then on the days in between then, there was a little group in Kidwelly, and they called themselves the Kidwelly Flyers. And I remember, like, I think it was on, like, maybe like a Wednesday occasionally, I'd jump in with them and I'd go for an easy run, something like that. And yeah, that's how I sort of really started to get into it, was just immersing yourself in the club, immersing yourself in groups. And I think I just fell in love with the sport itself. And I think that was the real important thing at the start, because if you start enjoying it, then you sort of want it a little bit more. You want to train, you enjoy the training. And then when you start getting better, you've got a fire in your stomach then, and you're like, okay, where can I take this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's right through schooling. Did you go off to uni then, or how old are you now?
I'm only 20 now.
Right, yeah. So
you
haven't finished school long. So what are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm in Cardiff University now, studying business marketing. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm still fairly young, and I feel like even though, like, in terms of training, I'd say I'm fairly experienced. Like, in terms of, I've still got years and years again to improve, and I think that's why it's important for me to, sort of still keep my head level and not get carried away, because I've still got so much more learning to do, and I can still progress so much more. So it's one of those things where I feel like, even though I'm still in uni and stuff, I feel like, post uni, I still feel like I can take the running somewhere. But yeah, I'm still in uni, and yeah, in Cardiff. But I did actually, after school, head to New York. So
yeah, I was going to say, I see on your Instagram.
That was meant to be
topless running around America.
That was meant to be the plan, and that was the plan. Initially, I obviously finished sixth form, and in those sort of sixth form years, I was obviously running very well. I feel like that's when I sort of made my initial jump in performance. So probably from the age of 16 to 18, so around the time of sort of like COVID to post-COVID, I made my biggest jumps. And obviously then you sort of start getting offers from like big universities within the NCAA, and when you're that young, it seems like a dream. You literally think, this is so good, like, why would I do anything else? And yeah, like, that's what I wanted to do. That's what we went with. So yeah, I'd spoken to, I think, like a handful of universities. Like, quite a few were interested, but I wasn't sort of getting massive offers from really big universities. Like, even though I'd run fairly well, it wasn't to the extent where I was getting like offers from Oregon or these really big universities. But I did get a couple of offers, and I ended up committing to Iona University, which is in New York. And yeah, me and my father, we went out for a visit. Yeah, I loved the visit. I was really pleased with the place. I was really pleased with the coaches. I was pleased with the team. So yeah, I thought that was it. I thought, right, okay, great. This is my next 5 years. And yeah, I was there. I ended up, you get there fairly early in the States, because they sort of start earlier than your British universities.
Yeah.
So I headed out there. I think 1st of August, I was there. I was in New York. And it's a bit surreal, because you're like, you've literally just finished school, and then within like a matter of months, you're like, right, okay, this is the next chapter now. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I remember my parents dropped me off. They were there for like the first week that I was there. And then, yeah, I think the second week I was there, we we went off on a training camp. And yeah, I mean, for the first sort of 3 months, something like that, I thought it was great. Do you know what I mean? But I wasn't really happy there. I sort of had that feeling in my stomach where I was like, I really don't think this is the right thing for me. And I think mentally, probably I wasn't maybe in the right place. And I just don't think I was like mature enough at the time to be making such a big move.
Yeah. Did you have to go so soon after school? And strange that. Was it just that side of it, or was it the coaching and running side was putting you off, or was that just fine? It was just the fact that James knew.
I think it was just sort of, it was an accumulation of a lot of things, and I think the one thing that I keep coming back to is it was like I was just too young. I wasn't ready, and I feel like you have to be really mature and ready for it in that means, or you're the type of person that does not overthink anything. You don't like. I feel like a lot of people that do well out there are the type of people that just go with the flow. Like they haven't got a care in the world. It's bad to say that in a way, but I think I was maybe perhaps overthinking a lot of things, and perhaps I just wasn't ready for that move at that point in time. So yeah, I ended up coming home. I took a bit of a year out, and yeah, that's how I ended up in Cardiff then. And I'm a lot happier in Cardiff, and like I'm really pleased that the running is still going well, because I think I was told quite not abruptly, but one of the coaches told me, if you head home, the likelihood of you making it is like slim. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those ones where when you get told something like that, you're like, okay, like I really, really, really want to make it now, just to prove you wrong.
You were not going to be right.
Yeah, so it's one of those ones where ultimately, yes, I tried it. It didn't work out, but I think I mean, if I'd have not gone and I just stayed at home, I might have been sat there thinking, oh, you know, some boys look like they're having a great time. What if? So yeah, it was an experience. It didn't work for me. I'm glad I came home, and things worked since coming home. But yeah, it's one of those ones where I can say I've been there. I've tried it for that first semester that I was there, but yeah, it just really wasn't for me.
It's not for everyone, is it? Hannah Bria said when she was on, she got offers from America, didn't she? And she just didn't want to go and stay. And it takes a lot to imagine pull the plug on living in New York as well. And a lot of people might not ever pull the plug and just keep spiraling as well. So it's ballsy to say, I'm coming home. I'm not doing New York, I'm going back to Kidwelly.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I feel like I'm kind of glad that I sort of realised that I wasn't happy there, because I think a lot of people would have been quite insistent to stay and maybe ignore how they were feeling. And yeah, in a way, like you've got full right to try and stick it out for that first year, even if you're really hating it, because I feel like sometimes with going to the States, you really, really have to give it a chance. And most people would tell you, like, it takes you maybe a year and a half just to fully settle in properly. But I just had that gut feeling. I just knew it wasn't for me. But yeah, I think sometimes it takes something like that to happen for you to realise what you sort of do appreciate and do sort of want out of your setup and stuff like that. So yeah, even though it didn't work out, I guess I learned a lot from it.
If that coach hadn't said that to you before you go back as well, then your whole time back in Wales is different again as well. It's very similar to what Thee said about his funding getting pulled when we had him on last week, and they go, it's probably not going to work out for you, Dav, if we go back to Wales. And it's like, watch me in, because it's going to work out. So you obviously you come back with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder as well.
Yeah, I think in a way, because of where I started, like I didn't start off a base of talent. Like when I started, I was, I was coming even though for some people it'd be fairly good, I was coming maybe 35th or something in a Gwent league. Well, compared to, you know, where I am now this year, it's such a massive gap. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think in a way that helps me realise that running's the type of sport where it's all based off consistency and sort of putting in good work year after year. And I feel like coming back from the States, I knew that like I'd have a brilliant track season before going out there, and I knew I was in a really good spot, even though I came back injured. I knew, right, okay, I know what I have to do to get back to the shape I was in over the summer, and I feel like if I keep adding layers and keep doing what I know I need to do to sort of keep improving, then I knew that I'd be back in the shape I was that summer before heading out. So it's one of those ones where I think sometimes it's nice to have some really honest chats with coaches and people that, you know, at the time I was surrounded by. And, you know, at the time I did think to myself, oh God, it's going to really take away that chance of being a pro athlete, because a lot of people will say like the best way to make it pro is to go out to the NCAA, but
it's not the only way though.
Say again?
Not the only way though, is it?
No, exactly. And I think for me coming home, I knew, you know, I still had potential. As long as I had somebody to guide me and to sort of keep pushing me in the right direction, I felt like that was still a possibility. And I feel like personally, I'm the type of athlete who wants to have a little bit of a responsibility on sort of shaping their own training as well. I feel like I'm the type of person that has interest in their training, and some athletes don't. Like some athletes would prefer to sit back, have a coach literally set it all up, and they just do exactly what's on the plan. But because I'm so interested in the actual training itself, you know, the science behind it, I think it sort of helps me in a way, because I'm more inclined to look at things and think, right, okay, like what do I need to be adding now to improve, and what do I need to sort of what are my weaknesses, and how do I take that step forward? So, you know, when I came back from the States, it was like, right, let's reassess my goals now.
Yeah.
And then going forward, I might, at the start, I thought, right, okay, let's do things myself for a little bit. And that first year that I was back home, I was doing stuff by a little bit before I joined James. But yeah, in a way, it's nice that I sort of had that coach say that to me, because in a way it helped me sort of think, right, okay, when I get home, I want to keep getting better. I still think I can get better, and you know, I've got a point to prove.
Yeah, definitely. So when you come back, then you're out, right? But how long was it then before you went off to Cardiff Uni as well?
So I came back like around that sort of, yeah, just like probably like a couple of weeks before Christmas sort of thing. And yeah, I went then, I worked basically. I worked in a builder's merchant for a little bit. I basically worked there up until, yeah, I think it was late January. And it was mainly like
your strength and conditioning as well.
Say again?
Was that good for your strength and conditioning as well?
It's, to be fair, I did have to tone back on the strength and conditioning a bit, but yeah, it was mainly a connection with my father, and yeah, I was working in Towie Works, which is a builder's merchant in Carmarthen for a little bit, and then I ended up working in a civil engineering company that my father works in for basically until that summer, really, when I made that British team for the Europeans. So in a way it was nice, because it gave me a bit of perspective. Again, it was, you know, I went to work, and you know, I was having to fit my training around that, but I liked it because even though I was working and stuff, it allowed me sort of to have a bit of a not a chill from school, but I think like school can be fairly intense, and it was nice just to, sort of fall into something and be like, okay, I can train around it, and this sort of gives me perspective of what life is. Do you know what I mean?
It's 9 to 5, isn't it? Like, and in a builder's merchant and stuff like that, then you go in at 9 and you clock out at 5, and you're not worrying about essays, and you're not worrying about this or that. You just
yeah, exactly.
doing everything around it then.
Yeah, it was mainly just go in, do what I had to do that day, and then my training was after work or before work. And yeah, even though it wasn't perfect, I got better that year. And end of that summer, I made my first GB team. And even though that time between returning from the States to making that team was not perfect, I grew a lot and I improved as an athlete. Maybe not in terms of like.
I mean, going to work, and sorry to jump in, but you've probably done a lot of maturing and a lot of growing up in our window, self-coaching, going into the world of work.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have got that benefit from being out in New York. You still would have been in the education system, being coached by man to boy as well.
No, exactly. And I think I did mature a lot in that period. And I think you sort of take a step back and maybe you look at yourself and you think, you sort of, at that time, I didn't know whether I was going to go to uni or not. I considering it. But it was just that time period where I was just sort of taking some time to myself to think, right, okay, what is the next? Whilst just really enjoying my running still. And yeah, I did mature a lot in that period. And I think having that time to step back a little bit, really gave me a chance to sort of think what my next step was. But yeah, it still allowed me to have, that time to sort of still continue pursuing the running and stuff. And I think that year, even though I did do a bit of self-coaching, that's when I sort of joined with James, and that was when I was, certain days I was travelling up to Cardiff to train, and it was nice to have that sort of group aspect back into things, and yeah, it was nice to have those guys in Cardiff, sort of, just to tow me along a little bit in that period, and yeah, that's when I sort of met John Butler, and them lot, because obviously he's coached by James as well, and that's how I sort of got dragged into running for Swansea around that period as well. So, I mean, that time a lot changed, and yeah, I think that was sort of the start to my return home and sort of kicking on after returning back from the States.
Yeah. And so far, it's all worked out for the best, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think, even though, maybe that first...
No crystal ball, is it, to see what might have happened, but you're doing all right.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where, I mean, like, the first probably 6 months after returning from the States, it was just quite, like, this is so unknown. Like, I don't know what's happening next. And in a sense, it was quite overwhelming, but I kept thinking to myself, I've still got the running. Let's keep chipping away at it. And yeah, luckily, sort of by the end of that summer, I was back in a place where I was really confident with my running again. And even though the times weren't exactly where they needed to be, like I was back racing and feeling like myself again, enough to sort of push some PBs a little bit better, and also to sort of just get better at racing, and that's, I think, how I just sort of persevered with it and made that GB team at the end of the summer, just from turning up to races, running the best I could. And I think sometimes you get these opportunities and you've just got to take them. And even though conditions weren't perfect for that summer, like I wouldn't have said I was in the best shape of my life, but I knew, okay, I'm in an okay spot. If I turn these races, turn up to these championships and put together some good performances, then, why not me to be on that team?
And that was last summer, was it?
That was last summer, yeah.
So young, it's mad. But when we had Theon last week and we like just going through everything from the 80s up until now, and we've only got such a small window to work with you.
Yeah.
What was that experience like, making the GB team? And that must be like a bit of a fuck you to America as well.
Yeah, I think in a way it was one of those ones where it was just sort of like a matter of time. I knew that, like, from the time I started running to that point, I was just always, I felt like I kept on taking steps forward and forward and forward every year. And I just kept putting it down to just being consistent, like every year, just continuing to, work on the basics and being really, really consistent. And I always tell people, like, consistency is the biggest thing in the sport. And I felt like I'd sort of built upon that, and every sort of track season, probably from the age of like 16, 17, I felt like I was taking steps forward, improving. So, yeah, even though I wouldn't have said it was my best track season, I just turned up. I turned up to the championships. I raced the 3K and the 5K. I thought, bugger it, I'll do both. 2 different days. No one else had entered both. I thought, I'll do both. And I think I came 3rd in the 3K and 5th in the 5K. And I thought to myself, do you know what? That's not enough to make the team, because I thought you had to be top 2 on the day either of them is. But yeah, they ended up sending 3 guys 3K. So, some people might have said, okay, you shouldn't have been on the team. But I mean, I got selected. I went to the and I made the final. So it was one of those things where I thought, I've been working for this for years. So to have the opportunity and go there and sort of have those massive experiences is what really helps you sort of improve as an athlete. And I think that European Championships, even though, it might not have been like the best result I could have possibly had, it was possibly my biggest sort of learning opportunity and the best experience I've had then since I'd started, racing properly.
Definitely, because just made me think then, obviously, you doubling up. Like Jakob does it, and if you look back at him in his, I don't know if you've watched a lot of his stuff, but him in his early days, he was never winning races. He was always like middle pack to nowhere, wasn't he? And then he's just learned from racing, just kept getting better by race, year by year.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is for me, the biggest thing I've sort of gained this season. I know I'm sort of flicking between everything, but I think the biggest thing that I've gained really is sort of, sometimes you can be the fittest you've ever been, but mentally, if you're not confident and ready to race, if you're not keen, then you're not gonna race well. You have to mentally be in a really good spot and ready to race. If you're not like that, then it's really hard to sort of turn it on when it needs to be turned on in a race. And I think I went to those championships, and I think even though I got through the heats, I made the final. Mentally, maybe I was not where I needed to be to compete in that final, because I think I was feeling just lucky to be there. I thought to myself, wow, like
imposter syndrome, is it? Kind of like,
yeah, like it was one of those ones where I had loads of athletes around me, and I'm thinking, God, like these guys are top dogs. Do you know what I mean? So I took a back seat a little bit too much, and I think I ended up probably not performing in that final. But it was one of those ones where I feel like you just learn massively from those experiences. Like, just go into a championship, like being in a European Championships, you learn so much from it, and knowing how to warm up and get to the call room on time, and all these really small things that
little things you wouldn't normally think about.
like wouldn't even think about. Like if you go and do a race back home, you just, you know, normally just rock up at the start line, like literally like a couple of minutes before, bang, the gun goes off.
Yeah.
That's all you've got to think about. Where in a championships like that, there's just so much going on, and I think sometimes you've got to learn to be calm in even like the most hectic situations. And I think where the championships was as well, like it was in Jerusalem, and it was an experience in itself.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those ones where you had to deal with the heat, you had to deal with, like, you know, just a lot of things that I hadn't experienced before. And yeah, even though I probably walked from there feeling like a bit like didn't race that great, I came from there quite happy with, you know, just getting there and sort of gaining that huge amount of experience just from those 5 days that I was in that champs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely sounds like you learned loads from it. Like I say, even if you didn't race as you wanted, sounds like you've learned loads though.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where I think I left the champs feeling very hungry. Like I just felt like I knew I had so much more to give. And yeah, I took a bit of a break after the champs and, you know, enjoyed my summer. And then obviously following that, I obviously started uni in Cardiff then. So it was kind of nice because I moved into uni. I obviously was up in Cardiff full time then, and it was nice to have James and the group and that new sector there straight away. And because I'd already trained with them, obviously in that time that I'd had that sort of year out, it mentally there wasn't much I had to think about then when I moved up to Cardiff. It was it's the same group, it's the same group. It was just a little bit more of a smooth transition for me then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I think you can see like the pinpoints in your journey so far. That coach in America saying you might not make it, you've got less chance of making it. And you probably learned more out in Jerusalem as well, that if you had put your nose in there and come second or third, you've probably learned more by being aware that you've shit the bed a little bit out there and I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'd read 2 really important lessons like before 20, but haven't you?
Yeah, I think in a way it's one of those ones where I feel like every year, every time I, you know, have a season, I'm the type of person to reflect on it and think, right, what have I learned this season? What's been really good and what's been shit in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like you keep on thinking, okay, what layers can I add in the coming season? What can I do to be better? And I think a lot of people can become quite complacent in a way, because sometimes when you've had a really good season, you sort of follow on with the following season, and some people tend to just keep doing the same thing. Sometimes if you keep doing the same training, you're just going to keep getting the same performances. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's just I enjoy like the training itself. I find that really intriguing, really interesting, and I think you might have seen like over the last sort of year or stuff. There's a massive advancement in like a lot of like lactate testing, and a lot of people doing a lot more controlled training, and yeah, I obviously took a massive interest to that as soon as I saw it pick up. And I remember asking James, I was like, look, I think I'm doing enough mileage. Should we give this a go? And I don't think he tried it with any athlete before. And it was mainly because I was interested in it myself, and I'd already done a bit of self-coaching. I was like, okay, why don't I just approach James, vocalize what I think, and see what he says? And yeah, I think I was probably like maybe a month into moving into Cardiff, and I'd sat down with James, and we said, right, okay, give this double threshold thing a go, and we'll see what happens. And yeah, sometimes you've got to try something to see what it's all about, and I've been doing it now for possibly a year, and it's probably been the best thing I've ever done, because it sort of comes back to the really important things about running. It's about running a lot of miles, not too hard, and fairly often. And I think that's what people lose track of. Like, okay, some people will tell you like running's about like, okay, running too much is bad for you, or it's not all about how many miles you're doing. But like for me, I'm always saying like more is better to an extent. And I feel like by doing this controlled training, you can do more volume.
Yeah.
And I feel like, to get better at running, just do more running if you can.
Yeah, pretty simple. Yeah, run more.
Yeah.
So what sort of mileage do you do, Dav?
Carry on.
Are we waiting for him to come back?
You are?
Are we waiting for him to come back? Yeah.
Yeah, best start, innit? You'll have to cut this out.
Are you training for Valencia? Are you doing Valencia Marathon?
Valencia, yeah.
What time are you going for there?
2:45.
It's a quick course, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quick. I done it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I was nowhere near as good a runner then. I ran 2:58. I ran 2:48 in Chicago, not last year, year before. So it's not been the best block. I've had a few niggles, but have a go in it, see what happens.
Yeah, it's one of those courses where I feel like sometimes, even if you haven't had the best of blocks,
yeah,
sometimes turn up on the day.
Turn up.
If the body's in a good day, sometimes you can just. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm feeling good at the minute. Like I done my last long run session Sunday, obviously tapering out 2 weeks ago. So I'm feeling decent. So yeah, it's going to be a quick course, quick group of people around me, hopefully. And yeah, hopefully get around 2:45. I'll be landed.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've been confirmed now. I'm going to run the Valencia 10K in January. So I'm really looking forward to that, because I feel like it's one of those ones where I haven't really run a fast 10K on the road at all. So it's one that I feel like I want to turn up to and give it a real good bash.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's another quick one, and the 10K, the half, and the full, they're all faster.
Yeah. Oh, that's stay there now.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's because I drank all this too fast. I don't think I've got a bladder. I think it's just a pipe that goes straight through, like.
Straight through. Not even as
What
old
did I
as
miss?
Well, no,
I know.
He said, "Do we need to wait for you?" I said, "Yeah." And then he just asked me about Valencia. What was I running and what am I going for now? But no, back to Dav. Is it? What sort of mileage do you do, Dav?
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend. Like in the summer, I'd probably be doing a lot less. I'd probably be floating around. I work in Ks, so probably around 100, 120, 130 Ks in the summer, and then maybe up to like 140 Ks in the winter. So that's you're probably talking between like 70, 85-ish odd miles. Some weeks a little bit more than that. But like when you're doing the sort of double threshold system, like you're having some really, really heavy days. And I feel like on those days, you sort of have to control it. Because if you don't control it, then you find out really, really quick. And I feel like that's why not many people do it, because it is a risk sometimes. Because if you can't be disciplined with it, and if you can't learn to control it, then it can be quite detrimental. Like you could put yourself into a really bad spot really quickly.
Yeah, you're gonna put yourself in the hole quick.
Yeah, and I feel like my normal training week, I probably hit at the minute. I'd be hitting 2 double threshold sessions on both Tuesday and Thursday, and then that Saturday then is normally my harder session of the week, where it's more race specific, or sort of VO2 max related. And I think that sort of goes back to maybe, you know, my progression in the sport and why I started getting so much better sort of after the age of 16, 17, was because I just started sort of taking a little bit more interest into training and sort of reading up on things and sort of just having a look at what the best were doing.
Yeah, you got to, like I say, if it's working for people, there's no point. There's no harm learning and trying things. So yeah, you got to, if you want to keep improving, like you say, you sit still and do the same thing, you're gonna have the same results.
And as kids, I think it's the type of thing where you go to any club across Britain, like anywhere, and you'll normally find people just train too hard. It does go back to that. And I mean, as kids, yeah, it's all about enjoyment. You turn up to the training sessions, and you know that's why you normally see a lot of the talented kids do well, because I mean, you can give a talented athlete any training in the world and they're probably going to get better. Where, like, for me, as a not so talented athlete turning up to training, you probably have to be a little bit more specific with the training for that kid to get better. So obviously, like, my training from the age of like 13 up until 15 was your basic club training, you know, like basically hammering 3 sessions a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you know, on the edge of the track, hands on knees, dying, and then maybe a couple of easy runs, like chopped in there, Monday, possibly Sunday, maybe, but like every week was different, and it was all just based on like whatever I could do in the weeks. Where now it's quite set in stone. Like, obviously not so set in stone that if something occurs that I have to take days off, then you take days off. But in terms of like consistency and sort of like regularity, you know, I'm training very frequently and very consistently. And yeah, I mean, since probably 16, that's when I started really, you know, having a proper training plan and taking stuff a little bit more seriously. But I think that's when I realized that running's so much simpler than I thought it was. And even though there's elements of complexity to it, training in essence is simple. And I think, you know, when I started performing well, it was all just based off a lot of easy miles, you know, a lot of tempo work, and then just one really hard session a week. And I felt like, for me, just doing more volume, less intensity was sort of getting me some really, really good results. And that's when I realized I was like, I've just been training way too hard. And now that I'm training more sensible, more controlled, now I'm getting results. And I think, you know, for me, as long as I'm sort of in race season doing those really, really specific sessions and sort of feeling, you know, getting to a point where I am hurting, because when you're in a race, you know, you've got to feel like, right, I can push on even when I'm super, super tired. You know, doing a lot of volume, doing a lot of threshold work, doing a lot of easy miles just allows you to just be so robust that when you get to those super, super hard workouts, you can get, you know, if you're doing 6K worth of like a super hard workout, you're getting 4K in, way less fatigue, fresher than you would be if you hadn't done all of that sort of strength work, threshold and easy volume. And that's all it takes sometimes, is just that really, really hard VO2 workout, maybe once a week. For me, I feel like if I put that in there, I just keep on improving. But yeah, I think sometimes running is people complicate it, and I think to get better, it's just simply putting in consistent weeks, doing a lot of good work. Obviously, doing those hard sessions because you're not going to improve without them. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's how some people get carried away with the double threshold stuff. Is like they think that's all they're going to do, all threshold. Like, yeah, if you're going to do all threshold stuff, you're not going to get better. You have to put those hard sessions in as well that are going to push your VO2 up and, anaerobically make you a lot stronger.
Yeah. Got you.
Good. What's next? I know you've got a big weekend coming up this weekend. You're in Liverpool this weekend, Liverpool?
Yeah, Liverpool's this weekend. So I'm currently feeling very, very nervous. It's one of those ones where I feel like I probably should have made this team twice in the last 2 years. I've just been very unlucky and like last year came second at Cardiff Cross. Thought I was in a brilliant place to make the team. Got ill literally the Tuesday before that race and thought, this is going to be impossible. So yeah, I feel like I'm in a really good spot this year. I've had a really good block. And yeah, coming off that race in Cardiff, I feel like if I execute well on Saturday, I should make that team. But it's one of those races where it's so unpredictable. Like everyone turns up, and like even though people predict the top 6 for the under-23 team, I guarantee you somebody's going to be on that team that I've not even thought about.
Someone will run so well today.
Yeah, I think that's why I like it, because it's pure just turn up on the day, race hard, and that's your team. Do you know what I mean? And it's fair. It's so fair. Like there's no ifs, no buts. Like if you're top 6 on that day, you're on the plane. There's no there's no complicated side to it.
Class.
We're successful, and it's December for
the European cross country champs is on the 8th of December then in Antalya in Turkey. So cross fingers if I have it.
Your passport is getting some stamps, mine, hopefully.
Yeah. Do you know what? Running's been really good. It's like it's taken me to places that I probably would never have gone to if I hadn't raced in these certain places. Yeah. But yeah, I think I always enjoy sort of making teams and taking opportunities like that, because that's how you get better. Is like going to big races, and that's where I want to be. Do you know what I mean? I want to be racing these races. I want to be sort of competing against the best, and I think hopefully if I make the team on Saturday, that'll be another really huge step forward for me, because I feel like sort of that step from under-20s up into the sort of under-23 and senior ranks sometimes can feel quite big. But yeah, I feel like I'm in a really good spot. So after that race in Cardiff, I feel like I can go into Liverpool with a lot of confidence, and hopefully if I execute a good race, that top 6 should be within reach.
Yeah, hopefully, like say, if you run well, run to your race, it'll take care of itself. When in the top 6, you should be amongst that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes it's also trust in the work you've done. Like I feel like I've had a really good last sort of 6 weeks, and again, I get back to consistency, but that consistency across the winter is really important. And even though I've got these sort of goals now across the winter, so even though I've got that goal on Saturday of making that team and hopefully performing in Turkey in December, they're stepping stones to hopefully having another really good summer. And I feel like because I'm still fairly young, I feel like I need to take these opportunities to make teams. But then also you need to look at the bigger picture, and constantly feel that, okay, if it's not perfect this year, then don't stress about it, because I'm still 20 and I've still got a lot of learning and a lot of developing to do. And I'm nowhere near the best I can be, and I know I've got a lot of work to do to get to where I feel like I can be. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, even though that's the goal, you know, I've got bigger ambitions coming, you know, further down the line that I've also got in the back of my mind.
Love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's gone really fast as well then. But we'll take a quick break now. We've got all the best, obviously, in Liverpool on the weekend. I'm sure you'll be fine. Like, it's a bit like talking. I imagine what this would have been like talking to James Thie when he was 20. There's like similarities in it, racing all the time, and a couple of setbacks and backing yourself as well. And you've got like a really cool, modest confidence if they work together. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have given, like, I wouldn't have said I was the most confident athlete, like, before last summer. I think last summer was when I sort of took a big leap forward, and I think that confidence comes from sort of, obviously the confidence comes from racing well, but I think sometimes you have to be bold in certain races. Like, you have to have confidence in yourself and belief to actually run well. And I think I only took that step forward this summer. Like, I only believed in myself. It's hard to say it, but I only like sort of had that belief in myself this summer.
You were still a kid though as well, weren't you? Like, you're really young.
Yeah.
Like,
it's one of those ones where I feel like when you're young, it's super hard to know how to race like the perfect race, or know how to fully empty your tank. And I still don't think I can fully empty my tank. Like, you have to be so mature in your racing and your, you know, your training to know how to really empty the tank on race day. But yeah, I'd say that quiet confidence that I've got now comes from that really, really, you know, consistent track season that I had, and just knowing that, okay, right, I've taken that big leap forward now, and I feel like I'm in a really good spot in terms of, like, I have that confidence in myself now that I can compete, and I'm not sort of
making up the numbers.
And I'm not like you get to some races and you look around and you think, oh, these guys are so good. Like, I'm nowhere near as good as these guys. But now I feel like I can turn up to races and be on the start line and look around and think, right, okay, I belong here.
Yeah.
And they're looking at you thinking, Dav's here again.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. It's like, I think some people are like ask you, or like, do you feel like when you're on start line, do you feel any different pressure now that you're like a little bit better or stuff like that? And like, I don't feel any different like turning up to a start line. The only thing that I've got more of now is just that confidence to race, and to sort of not be scared and fearful in races of going out there and competing from the front. Where maybe in previous years I'd have sort of feared that and hung back and not got involved at the front of the race, where now I've got confidence in my training, and I've got confidence like in myself that I can compete against those guys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Great. Brilliant. All the best in Liverpool on the weekend, and I'm sure our paths will cross next year. But should we take a quick break, and then we'll do this or that, do a Nicky and some questions from the community. And then, Nicky, you've got to get out for a run as well, haven't you?
I am. I'm going out to run as soon as this finishes.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Right, it is that time of the week. We've got this or that, Nick, and a couple of questions from the Instagram community. Nick, do you want to start?
Yeah, here we go, Dav. This or that, track or cross country?
Track or cross? I'd probably definitely say track. Track's my preferred surface.
Oh, nice. Sticking with track then, 1,500 or 5,000?
Oh, 5k, easy. I'm veering away from the 1500 every year now. I'm only thinking about longer as I get older now.
Yeah, we all do that. It just seems a bit easier. You're not as hard on yourself for the
Yeah.
big shot. Even though it's short, that is harder. Next one. Well, if you've already answered this, and you think K's or miles?
Yeah, I work in K's. I used to work in miles. And yeah, I mean, I think I can't remember when it was. I think it was after I came back from the States. Even though they work in miles out in the States, I was living with these Canadian twins, and they said, "Oh yeah, we used to work in K's back home and stuff like this." And yeah, after coming home, I was like, "Oh, do you know what? I might change my watch to K's. Have a see what this is all about." Like, and yeah, ever since then, I've worked in K's because I think I train. I do 10 by a K, I do 5 by 2K, and I just thought, "Oh bugger it, you know what? I'm gonna work in for everything." Yeah.
Training more. That's why it's not the right answer, but there we are. We let him off. Spikes. Do you wear socks or no socks?
On the track, no socks, but then for cross country, I feel like if you're wearing no socks for cross country, that's a pretty bold statement. But yeah, normally track, no spikes, no socks ever. I feel like it's one of those ones that is quite an even split. Like some guys wouldn't even consider not wearing socks.
Yeah.
They're like, that's strange. Where I always go no socks, and I always have since I've been on the track.
That's a pro answer, I think.
Yeah.
Last one. Short or half tights?
I'd have to go half tights. Yeah, that's my preferred short.
You've got one right at last.
To be honest, it's one of those ones where it does depend. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, okay, half tights day today and then split shorts days. But normally, if it's track, I normally go half tights. But yeah, it's another split where you see a lot of distance runners are so like, oh, gotta be split shorts. Like every distance runner split shorts. But yeah, I feel like lately now, since like those speed suits and stuff have come in as well, it's it's just totally changed the game again.
It is mad, yeah. Jakob wearing for a fucking half marathon. Crazy.
I know, it's mental.
Right. We've got a couple of questions. First, who's your favourite double T partner?
Say again?
Who's your favourite double? I guess double T is double threshold, right? So who's your favourite double threshold partner?
Right. Who's my favourite double threshold? To be honest, I think a lot of my morning thresholds over the last year have been solo. Like I feel like I'll just hop on the treadmill, get that done solo. But yeah, in the evenings, I feel like I would have to go. Like the group we've had over the last sort of couple of months since being back in Cardiff has been very good.
Yeah.
So I can't pick a certain person, but I'll shout them all out. But yeah, James Hennigan's always there. Jake Smith's always there. John Butler's always there. And then Michael Ward as well. Those are the guys that have been sort of mainly hopping in on the evening workouts for me over the last couple of months. And yeah, it's a great group, like great bunch of boys, and it just makes training just so much easier. Do you know what I mean? And I think when you can have a laugh and stuff as well, it's even better.
Yeah. Imagine sending that question in, and then Dav names 4 people, and you're not one of the people.
Oh no!
There's always the risk.
Do you want to know who it was?
Who was it?
Mr. Tom Baird.
Well, to be fair, I have not trained much with Tom over the last couple of months. But do you know what? I give it to him. He's a great guy, and I think when I
you can't. Too late now. It's too late.
Actually, to be fair, when I started training with James's group for the first time, Tom was doing. Yeah, he was a lot. I would train with him a lot in the group. But yeah, he's a really good guy, and I really like Tom.
I like Tom. He's all right.
Yeah.
We've got a question from James Hennigan as well, because he's used all his data in the last month sending us questions in for different guests. He wants to know why you seem so irritated when you train with him.
I guess it's just one of those things, isn't it? It's
Because he's
I think
irritated.
we always have a laugh in training, but yeah, James takes having a laugh to like another level. We did a 25 by 400 session probably a couple of weeks ago, and I swear to God, James did not take the session seriously until the last 5 reps. We did 20 reps where he was weaving in and out. He was coming into lane 2. He was coming round. He was just, 20 reps of basically taking the mickey. He was, but I love James, and I think sometimes we just bicker in training, and it just keeps it fun. Like when you're doing like big sessions like that, you gotta have a laugh with it. You can't be too serious all the time. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly.
Definitely.
Right. This is an interesting question. How many times do you wash your plates?
Who's asked this?
Callum. Campion.
How many times do I wash my plates? I mean, if this has been said by any of the boys living in my house, then yeah, I'm a bit of a germaphobe. So if you see me wash my plates, sometimes I might be there for 5 minutes longer than everyone else. But since moving into the house with the boys in Cardiff, we've got a dishwasher, so I feel like it makes life a lot easier then.
Definitely. Right, and our 2 staple questions. Which song are you going to add to the runs playlist? One you like training to, or just want to add to it?
Oh.
Will anything get you pumped now before the race, or do you just like in the zone?
To be honest, like before races, like lately, I've just been listening to like Eminem or something like that. Like something like that just gets you going. Like I feel like if you're listening to something too easy listening, then it's just not getting you.
Doesn't work.
It's not getting you into the race.
No, I listened to country all the way around on Cardiff half, and it was a big mistake. Like,
but yeah, normally I listen to music like whilst warming up. Like if I'm doing my warm up, I jog for 15 minutes, and that's when I got my music in. And then once I've stopped warming up and doing my drills and stuff, music is out and just like get in the zone.
Okay.
But I'm not that type of person that's got like favourite song or anything like that.
if you had to pick one Eminem track to add to it,
Sing for the Moment. That's normally one of my like. It has to be pre-race. Like if that's not in there, then something's gone wrong.
All right, cool. And last question: who would play Dafydd Jones in a movie of his life so far? I don't know if you're too young, but do you remember the American Pie films?
Fucking no
Young
chance.
Jim.
Older than him.
Obviously, I've heard of it, but I've got no context at all.
Jim would be a good one. Unless you can pick a better one, I'm going with Jim from American Pie.
I've got no context to what you're saying here, so you can both laugh about it.
No, American Pie class films back in the day, but yeah, they're about 25 years old.
I might get slayed for not knowing what this is now.
No, it's alright, man. They're years old. And I think the thing is, you've missed the cinema generation. Like, films are crap now. You've missed the boat on them, so we'll let you off. But Nicky needs to get out and do his run. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Dav. All the best in Liverpool this weekend. I'm sure if we execute, you'll be catching some sun in Antalya before the end of the year. And we'll definitely bump into you next year. If we don't bump into you before Tonopandi Track Classic, we'll definitely be back down there if you're about. Anything, Nick?
No, love that. Cheers, Dav. Appreciate your time this week. Obviously, busy week and stressful, nervous week for you heading to Liverpool, and all the best for that. Hopefully we've taken your mind off it for an hour without chatting too much about it. So yeah, all the best up there, Dav, and for everyone else, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the start line somewhere soon.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
brilliant. Thank you, boys. Thank you very much.
Man.
Cheers.